this regular meeting of City Council to order September 3rd, 2019. Additions to the agenda, ordinance number 1065-19 and 1066-19. Can I get a motion on that?
So moved. Second.
So a motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. Citizens' comments. Any citizens' comments this evening? Okay. Consent agenda. Approved minutes, regular council meeting, August 20th, 2019. Can I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Abstaining. Okay. Motion carries 4-1. Appropriation ordinance number 9-3-19 in the amount of $103,405.91. Can I get a motion?
I have a question.
Okay.
If we have somebody that's licensed for pest, why are we paying an outside contract?
What are you talking about?
If we have a licensed pest applicator, which I
Right,
think we
what-
did, but we may not anymore,
What business are you talking about?
Kansas Pest.
Kansas Pest is our local.
I know it's local, but I meant if we
Why
had
are we doing it
somebody else
in-house?
that, why don't we do it in-house?
We don't have anyone that can spray.
We did have, but we no longer do. We
Not
had somebody
that
that
I
passed
think
an
that was a,
exam last
that was a
week.
contract deal, was it not, or is that not a contract deal with
He's
him?
saying, like, if our guys are licensed to spray,
He is now. He wasn't at the time, but now he's not here.
Yeah.
He was only licensed for a very short time.
I
Yes.
know.
Yes. But yeah, if we
But
have
if we
another
did
one,
have
yeah, we could,
somebody
sure.
licensed, why do
If
we
we have
not do it
access, if
in-house?
we have access to the materials and that stuff, yeah, there's no reason why we can't do it.
For about,
we
I mean,
have
Tenth
yeah,
the cost.
Yeah,
He's,
sure.
I mean, he's doing it pretty reasonable. When we got the bids, he was very reasonable. I mean, we keep the headache off the city guys so we can get other shit done.
Well, he puts termite pots and stuff out, which we don't have access to anyway. I mean, we only have access to spray materials and stuff like that, so.
okay, I'm just questioning.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant we were going out of town. Like, that is our local company.
I know it's a local contractor, I
Yeah.
mean, why are we doing it out of house?
I think we decided last time that you were on here, maybe weren't you, that maybe your guys did doing what they know best, I guess is what I got, you know.
Well, we had
They don't-
somebody
you
that
know.
took the test and was qualified to do it for commercial application. And therefore you can buy all of the chemicals if you're qualified there. And if you've taken the test, it's not rocket science. It's like
I don't
just,
know. Yeah.
most of it's kitchen mathematics. Come here and work there. It was just a question. I know we have no one now, but if we do again,
Yeah, we can look into it. We'll get to that point, sure we can.
Any more discussion? I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Department heads. Okay, you've got Grant Administrator here, Ms. Lisa. Okay.
Did I tell you guys last meeting the signs weren't coming yet?
Okay. Moving on, police chief.
I got nothing.
Okay. And fire chief is not here. Anything from Mike? Okay. All right, city administrator, Jamie.
We had a meeting with Greg Wright with EMG that we've been in contract with for
Since 2001.
since 2001. And he sold out his company, and he has a contract that for the new company. I sent it to John for review, and he had a few things, but we went back with Greg. And so right now, I'm waiting on an answer from Greg for a letter discussing, or a letter in writing that the old contract is null and void, and we'll, like, with the old business name to the new business name, so we're not with two different companies. So as soon as we have that, all of the others, they're good with the other changes. So once I have that, we should be good. So can we go ahead and approve with
Yeah,
any
we'll just hold it
changes?
for you, the letter.
Okay, and just do it next meeting.
No, I mean, you can go ahead and approve it today.
Okay.
You will just sit on it until you get a letter
Okay.
saying that the previous agreements
Okay.
are rescinded.
And we, like, he's gonna have to rewrite this because we had talked about the mayor signing all of our contracts, and I think he has Jeff on here. So just so we don't end up in another situation, I asked him to put Mark's name on there so the mayor can sign all of the documents pending council's approval.
The one thing about Greg's business over what we had before is now they offer engineering services and some of that stuff, which they didn't do before. So they broadened their deal quite a little bit by selling out to this other company. So later on down the road, if there's some electrical engineering stuff and that stuff that you need done, they're capable of doing it. So it'll probably help us in the long run, you know, if we get into a deal, which we couldn't get through them before. So anyway,
The rates and everything are the same.
at this point in time, yes.
425.
425, yeah, yeah.
And he's our energy consultant.
So do you want a motion to approve that?
Subject to, I guess, a letter from him acknowledging that the previous agreement with the city is voided. I guess he says he sold out, but I mean.
He told us verbally that he had, you know, but we don't have it in writing.
And it's Priority Power Management LLC.
And I did look it up, it's new to Kansas as of like July 16th or something, so.
Based out of Dallas now, I believe.
Priority Power Management LLC.
But you're gonna look it over?
I already have, I looked it over the weekend.
I'd make a motion to approve the new contract with Priority Power Management LLC, subject to the letter from the clearing us from the old contract.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay. Anything else, Jamie? Okay, City Superintendent, Jeff.
Couple of things. One is, in the next couple of weeks, we'll do our annual testing on our trucks. Rubber goods, blankets, line covers, all that stuff that we annually do, and the insurance requires anyway. The bill at the end of it, somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000, I think is what it normally is. So it'll come up probably before next council meeting, I'm guessing. The other thing is that, and I've discussed this with a few of you, I haven't talked to all of you, but we've been debating about, we really don't have anything to seal per se for the year between fountain stuff and water leaks and everything else that went on in concrete and that stuff. We just didn't get a lot prepared to seal. And what I'd like to do, I want to start a program with a poly-type sealing oil that Phil had told me we probably should use because of the flexibility on the concrete, and then start using chat instead of using sand. It holds up about 10 times better. You know, we figured maybe the place to start with the traffic that we had might be to go ahead and start on First Street, where we've sanded this in the past. I can see some failure on that, you know, from the weight of the trucks and that stuff. And so what I'd like to do is seal from out east of Kenwood where the curbing starts down to West Street. We've got 2 blocks on West Street that are all but finished, but I don't want to start and shoot 2 blocks and then start next year and try and pick it up where we left off and go. And the reason is, every time you do that, you get a hump in the asphalt trying to start and get smooth, so I just as soon do it once. We want to fog that material that we've laid down this year to kind of seal it off. Phil said it's just a light coat of oil. We'll shut the road off for a couple hours, let it set, and it will seal the material and hold it till next year so that we can go ahead and progress and go clear up to past 7th Street where the concrete starts. But in the meantime, as soon as this is done, we want to go on up and get the curb repaired between 4th and 5th. We got a catch basin on the corner that's badly damaged and needs to be repaired. Get all this stuff prepped before winter, and then next spring we could jump right in there. I did meet with, I shouldn't say I met, I called and talked to one of the guys from Venture about some possibilities of doing some planing for us. He was supposed to get back with me last Wednesday. He said they usually have a Wednesday meeting at the intersection down here that they're working on. He did not go. So, and I've talked with Philip a little bit, and he wants to know on these, excuse me, on these less traveled streets, why we're taking so much material out. That machine that we have bevels, and I think I want to talk to David a little bit, and of course Jason's done enough of it, he will know too, that we start with taking the top off of what's been overlaid now from the curb out, and try and blend it back into what's there and look at the material. And if it's good enough, we'll clean it up and seal it there and not drop in. You know, we probably put over 200 yards of material in those 2 blocks. I mean, now it's a heavier traveled street than most of them, but still it's an awful lot of material. 10 feet wide out from the curb, where I'm not sure in a lot of cases that's really needed. I think we can save some material there and get a good seal on it and go back to using chat like we used to. Chat's more expensive. To seal First Street, it's probably going to take about $14,000 to $15,000 of material between the chat and the oil and the freight to get the chat in. But and then whatever Phil charges us to do it. But I want to work it out of the tax fund that we get from the state. The tax fund has about $24,000 in it, and I'd like to spend it out of there and go ahead and shoot this. I need to know, because he wants to be done sealing by the 15th and put his material away or his equipment away. So I would like to try it there. If we're going to try a street that's heavily traveled, I think that's probably the place to start. And see, you know, I think we'll get 5-6 years out of it. We might get more, I don't know. But the sand's not going to hold up on that much weight. It's just not going to. And like he said, in their case, you know, we're peeling off an edge where when they overlay, they just shoot it out in the gutter or out in the ditch and just go on. Well, we can't do that. You know, we need to bring ours back to a height where we can sweep it and keep it clean to where it doesn't end up in a storm sewer. So I think it's a good place to start. We wouldn't have just an overabundance of money in it to go ahead and see how that flexible type, he said it should flex with the temperature more so than what regular cutback or emulsion-based oil does. You put a polymer in there, in that oil, and he mix it in with it. So anyway, they've had good luck with it. I wouldn't mind trying it. And I really think that if we don't do something, that we're going to be in there 2 years, 3 years maybe, and we're going to be doing it again. It just has that much hard traffic. I mean, we cut a lot of material out of it, but still, a good chat seal on it will be quite a bit tougher than what the sand has been. With them chips on there, we get a good, you know, we're going to put about 30 thousandths of oil on it, so that oil will be fairly visible when it goes in. So anyway.
15 October.
Pardon?
15 September or 15 October?
15 September, yes. Yeah. The temperature starts dealing with you after that. You know, if you want, and you want to do it on a day that's pretty warm, if at all possible. You get a good mash on that chat down in there and get it drove in. And, you know, and then where Jason came from before, they had a broom. They would drag that back into those tracks as it come off and go ahead and keep working it in until you couldn't work it in anymore. And I think as long as that polymer's warm, then they'll go ahead and maybe take the maximum amount of chat that we can get stuck down in it. So anyway.
They're gonna start west of Santa Fe, the cars are coming down, going west on First Street, they can sidetrack through Santa Fe, but through town.
Well, if we have, you know, they'll shoot it and go right on top of it, but you can get them off at Cherry.
Okay.
There at the apartment and go south and go across the block.
I just didn't know where you said by Kenwood, I didn't know you were
Yeah,
gonna
we want to start at the
west
end of the curb. That's about where the curb stops, and the county maintains the rest of that on out. We don't usually do it. So where the curb ends is where we kind of stop on that. But that'd shoot the full distance of it, get it in before corn harvest. Be a good chance to pack it in good, I think, you know, so, anyway. But,
Any questions for Jeff?
Yeah, I say we need to do it, try it.
And you were saying something about Phil thinks maybe we're taking too much material off on our grind, is that what you're
It's when
talking
we're,
about?
you know, that we take out too much, so we have to replace it. I mean, like I said, I think 200 tons is an awful lot of material in 2 blocks.
Right.
You know, and with that machine being able to bevel, I'm game to try and peel it off and get it back to where its natural was at that curb height and then look at it.
Right.
And then if we need to take it out, take it out. But I think that first plane ought to just bring it back down to what would be ready to seal. And then if we need to take some out, especially on these little side streets, I mean, there's no heavy traffic on them,
Right.
you know.
And make it go
Yeah.
10 times faster.
Yeah, I think so, and you know, and then we could use our planer for a lot of that. And if we could contract a deal with them and we could take it 12 feet, which is how wide that planer is, or 12 and a half, and start it at curb height here and go out to nothing at that 12 feet, you know, we could shave a lot of material off, clean it, shoot it, seal it, and be done with it, you know, as long as there's material there. Now, some of these streets are, there's a lot of them that are concrete based, and you get down just a little ways and you don't have any material, and we'll have to deal with those as we come. What we call soil cement, and it's kind of a mess, but a lot of them have had enough asphalt over the years. I don't see any reason, you know, we covered them that way. I don't see any reason we can't mill it back off. Look and see if we've got dirt or we got material, and go from there. So if you got good material out 3 feet, there's really no need to take 10.
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Okay, unless there's any more questions for Jeff, moving on to the next, Public Utilities Supervisor, Jason.
So,
We need to vote to approve that, Jamie.
I mean, if that's gonna be on the, what you said, 15th?
I need to do it by the 15th. Yeah.
He just needs our go-ahead. Is there an expenditure?
It'll be 15 to 20,000 is what it'll be. About 15 for the material plus what the county charges us.
You need to vote.
Have to kind of round my loads so that, see how much oil we'll have to take on that transport, because transport holds 7,000 or 8,000, you know, and this would be about 4,500 is what it would be.
You can give authority to spend.
You're gonna pull that out of state fund,
Out of our street tax fund,
which was 24,000.
it's about 24,000, yeah. And try and leave the rest of it alone, yeah.
I'd make a motion to allow Jeff to spend up to 24,000 to seal the street,
Using the polymer.
using the polymer and chat.
Have a motion on the table.
I don't know exactly what it's gonna cost.
Yeah.
I don't wanna say 20,000 and then it's 21,000 by the time you get Phil stuff in.
The notes I've got are about 16,000, but that's all dependent on, you know, I have to round my loads up. When I pick up Chad, I have to pick it up 25 ton at a time. I mean, there's no need to put 10 ton on, you know, haul all your loads and put 10 ton on the last one. So we'll have to round the loads up to get them right. But, I mean, it shouldn't go over 20, depending on what the county charges us, so. He gave me a round figure on the oil of about 205 a gallon. We figure it's gonna take about 4,300 gallons to shoot, so.
So I mean, this is basically an experiment because we don't know for sure.
I don't know that they really call it an experiment. It's proven or they wouldn't be using it. We just think that after
New to us,
sanding
not new
it,
to Mark.
it's, yeah, sanding that, it just, the sand base just didn't hold up for the amount of material that we put in there, and it's breaking down. And if we don't cover it and get a good seal on it, we're gonna be back where we were. There's just, you know, these trucks now, I've seen 2 trucks in town that got 100,000 pound axles under them. I mean, I don't know where you stop. I really don't.
I mean, I live on First Street, and it's, every once in a while I walk to my house, and when I start looking at, I mean, it's just that asphalt's already webbing out a lot, and where certain spots
Yeah.
where it's sealed up, I mean, it's
Yeah.
come up, and
It's the weight.
I mean, it just,
This
Well,
polymer oil will go down into those cracks.
when we started doing these roads, I mean, bought the Bobcat and started milling and stuff, did anybody and the city do any like classes looking into
We've been doing
anything?
repairs like this ever since I went to work here. We just hadn't had the skid steer only before we tore them out with the grader. That's the only difference. We're still doing the same job, we're just using a different tool. But we found cleaner ways to do it without destroying a third of the street with scarifier teeth. That's all it amounts to. But we're not doing it any different than we did in 1980 when I went to work here. The only difference is now we don't have an oil distributor to do our own, which we did have at that time. So now we rely on the county to help us. And we rely on the advice that Phil gives us of how we probably should do it.
Well,
So,
and then I start thinking about that too, that, I mean, when he's saying, you know, we should be taking off maybe half as much as what we have been, I mean, it would have been nice to know that ahead of time. I'm just wondering if we can send you and David to some.
it's
more
kind of like you
classes.
buying a pickup. You make up the decision after you've blowed the motor up or before. I mean, you know, we've done, like I said, we've done the same thing for 40 years this way. And now, we're starting to see the difference is now that we use a water-based oil compared to what they call the cutback oil, which was a flat oil. Yeah, it was no emulsion to it. And it was a lot better oil than what we buy now. But you can't afford to buy it now. So you use what they've got now, which is emulsion-based. It just doesn't tack as good. The material's not as good. The trucks are getting heavier. I mean, you're just chasing your tail is what you're doing. And you'll never win. You'll never win. Yeah.
Second your motion, Marshall.
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 4-1.
Jeff, was that on West Street too?
We're not gonna do it
What
this
you
year.
say, You're not gonna seal
We're
it
gonna
all
fog,
on
we're gonna
West Street?
fog it. We're gonna hit it with the oil to seal it over, you know, and then we're just gonna block the road, let it dry, and then they can drive on it. And it will protect it till next year, till we get the rest of it laid out, and then we'll shoot it all in
It's
one
gonna
shot.
create too much of a hump with that chat.
Yeah, when you stop and start, every time you get a hump in that, I'd like to not have it if we can.
Right.
Shoot it in one shot and be done with it, so.
Okay, Public Works Supervisor. Jeff, you have anything from David?
No, I don't.
Nothing from David, okay. Okay, moving on, City Attorney, John.
Jason, you had it.
We already did.
Oh, we did.
You guys started talking again about what Jeff was previously done.
That's
so.
right, yeah.
John,
The only thing I've got is I will update counts on 406 East First as soon as I get an update.
any questions for John? Okay, moving on to old business, West Street.
That's it. We got 2 blocks repaired, that's where we're gonna stop.
Okay.
We're gonna fix the concrete and stuff yet until we run out of budget money, and then we're gonna stop. So,
Okay, Accountant.
it's done, waiting on the cures. Chris can go ahead and finish it out. He wants it to set 30 days before he touches it, so
Okay,
that's where we're at.
all right, sounds good. Okay, next thing on the agenda is truck parking.
I couldn't find the agreement anywhere. Raymond came in, and we had a little bit of a discussion, and he was gonna look for his agreement, but he hasn't brought it into me yet, so. I looked at all of the files and everything on the computer, and
It's just a tenant folder.
yeah,
There's it's probably just a fallback, statutory fallback.
30 days, March 1.
30, is that what it is?
30 days prior to the first of March.
Yeah. Which he'll plan to week this fall, so we don't have until next summer. But you still give him his notice.
Well, we don't have the material to start anything anyway,
How many tons did we get approximately? Any
Oh,
idea?
gosh.
Well, 200?
maybe, at the
Yeah.
most. Yeah,
Good point.
yeah, not very much. And it wasn't near as good as what we thought it might be. We'd like to have some oily stuff, you know. So,
You make good bait.
yeah, we don't really have the material to even start it. I mean, if we get out there and we kind of lay out what we want to do, we can go ahead and bury some power out there
Right.
and have some stuff done before we get material maybe
It's
next
10
year.
months out, 10 months
Yeah,
out, regardless
it's-
for possession.
I mean, so it's all been surveyed. It's just a matter of getting the trees cut and getting things lined out, so.
Did he remember whether there were any special terms, any kind of agreement?
he actually thought the agreement was coming to an end, but
I would suggest if the city wants to do something out there, then probably sooner rather than later, just give him notice, just so it's not forgotten about.
not gonna affect a lot of it. I mean, over Woody Farms, just the very northeast corner would be all of it. I mean, keep the weeds down, if nothing else.
Yeah. Well, we need to meet out there and all agree how we want to do it.
We kind of see how big y'all think it ought to be, and we'll stake it off, and let him have the rest of it,
We can always negotiate a buyout on the lease or whatever if you wanted to be
Yeah.
entrenchment.
Yeah.
And I don't think
We gotta look
we would be.
Or something.
As I came in tonight, there were 3 loaded trucks sitting on city streets
Yeah,
on Broadway and Main.
gotta be done.
And,
Gotcha.
we can't afford it.
So I guess what's the plan, I guess, as far as what we'll start budgeting, as far as rock, lighting and all that? When do we start putting that into effect to start getting that rolling?
To budget it, 2021, because your budget for 2020 is already done.
I mean, because we are looking at a lot of money to do something like that, so.
But
I don't
I don't think you're looking
I
at a
don't-
lot of
The
money.
only way it'd be expensive is if you decide to put pedestals out there for plug-ins. If you wanted to put 50 amp pedestals out there and that stuff, we really need to do it before we put the material in. But, a half a dozen at what? $150 a piece? They're not that expensive, $150, $200 a piece. We could still do it, under what my spending limit is. I mean, and just wooden light poles and lights, I mean,
Is it pretty easy to take the electrical out there then?
oh yeah, it's just a matter of burying it from 5th Street North.
He's already got it on.
It's all, I had it surveyed, the east side of it surveyed, and so we know how much room we have between, like the fence where our salt ponds are and the edge of the right of way. We've got enough room to get a trencher through there and bury it underground, set a pad down transformer, which I have, and do
I
it.
mean, basically-
we can do all of it. We don't have to hire
Come
anybody
up
out
with
there.
a size then, I mean, you're kind of pretty familiar how much a guy needs
Yeah,
to
we just
turn
gotta
around and
look out
stuff.
there and agree.
Yeah.
Big,
You
big
guys are
budget.
just going, we're not gonna charge them for plugging them in, right? Or you are?
I don't know why you wouldn't
Just
charge them for
yeah.
putting them in.
So I think some places do like a yearly fee,
Mm-hmm.
just to use it. I don't know, we just need to figure it out. We don't need to make any money, we just need to
Yeah.
pay our way.
Right.
That's the way I say it.
Cost
Yeah.
of saving streets.
Yeah, that's right. We want to help them.
It might be cheaper just to give it to them.
Well,
Yeah,
that's-
I'm not
that's what-
opposed to that.
yeah.
I mean, we have to
It'll
meter it
encourage
because
it.
we have to know, but I mean, you're not talking about, several $1,000s over the winter at the most,
Yeah.
depending on, I mean, some of them trucks got pretty good sized heater in them.
Yeah,
It gets really cold and they set a few days, they're gonna spend some kilowatts, but, as long as we know how much they're taking out of there, we'll put it on our yearly report after that, we don't care. It's
The
up to
pedestals be cheaper without having individual meters on each meter back.
Yeah, we just primary meter at the very first and then know just how many, went through. Because you never know if old Joe's gonna park in the same parking spot every day,
right.
That avoids a lot of confusion. you know.
It does, and if the council's willing to give out a few thousand kilowatts over the course of the winter to keep the trucks off the street, why, we can meter it down there at the other
Money
end.
ahead
Might
of
be as
you.
broad as it is long, or we might be ahead.
Yeah. I mean,
If
you're
you get
talking
50 trucks using it at the end of the first year and you have to come in and reevaluate.
Yeah, if it gets
I think-
serious, we might have to do a little
I
shop.
think you limit
Get
it to
6.
the local people that live here in town that are driving trucks for a living.
Yeah, well, most of the others park across the highway, they're in there and they sleep, they leave the truck running, they go on down the road.
Right.
We're not.
We're
I-
talking
I
about
don't-
guys
I
that
don't
are
think
carrying
we make
loads
a
here.
truck stop for everybody coming up.
No,
the highway.
no,
I think we
I don't
do it
think
for
you
our
want
local
to,
people.
no.
Maybe a little bit more appetizing for those guys that you tell them there's free electricity, that park them there in town, that
Yeah.
maybe aren't
Yeah,
very
It's gonna
happy
have
about
to be
to begin
okay.
with, I mean.
yeah. I think anything we can do to smooth it over probably will help.
Yeah.
Once we get some material out there where we know we can get a truck through there and we don't lose them and they can get in and out of there, the biggest thing is just gonna be getting it in, so. It's not a hard job to do.
25 trucks is there in town.
15 or 20?
If you get a crown, somehow to get the water off of it, start putting the base down
Yeah,
and
yeah.
smaller,
We put
but
a-
you've got to, first thing you got to make sure the water runs off.
Well, we laid some bridge timbers, real big bridge timbers down, so, because they dollied off one time,
Oh,
so we put some bridge timbers out there, and just stacked them in the dirt, and covered them up.
We can get all them from Philip.
That way they can
got
dolly
leftovers.
the trailers down and not have to worry about sinking.
Yeah. mean, they got 3x12s, 4x12s, and 16s, and just set them in there. Make them tough enough, they can set a set of dollies on them and drive off, you know.
Another option is just doing like a sidewalk with the footing underneath of it, 2 foot wide, the length of however long we're going, and we can
We just don't want it to stick up very high, because you want to be able to
Yeah,
drive over
basically like
it,
a
you know.
sidewalk, just ground level.
Yeah,
landing strip.
either way,
So what's the next step then?
get the material in, and then, you know, we kind of measure it off. Bring a truck and a trailer out, see how much room it takes to turn around, you know, because you're gonna have a place to drop.
I'd go ahead and, just,
Conversations about
I would inform Raymond that, it's something we're gonna do.
I missed the last meeting, so how long is this lease with Longs?
We don't know.
They
We're
just-
probably talking about what, Ross, 500 foot square? That'd be more than enough room, wouldn't it?
He doesn't have.
Turn
The
around.
size of a city block,
That's what you said.
I mean, or less,
I can
Number of
find
trucks?
the agreement
Yeah.
he said.
depending on how you drop them and get in and out there.
Yeah.
But everybody's gotta have room to swing out and around and come
Has
back
a
out.
route.
Maybe 2 driveways.
Yeah.
It's probably year to year to answer your question.
What?
It's probably year to year.
Oh.
Yeah, because if I haven't seen or heard of it since I've been here, more than likely it's just year to year.
We got
We're
time.
talking like 10.
We can't change it unless he voluntarily surrenders it. We don't have any.
I don't think he's against it.
Was there
He
15
did have
acres
some
out there? I mean,
questions.
was there?
I mean, we don't draw any money from him for being out there.
Yeah, he meant it.
Just buy them out.
I guess we'll just wait.
He's digging in, you see if he gets, finds a contract, we can negotiate, or ask him if he'd be willing to go.
Yeah.
And he would be,
Right,
he
yeah.
can get some
he's-
numbers together.
When he came in, he said that he thought it was, he's all for it. He had a couple questions. And I've been in contact with Jeff about those. So, we're gonna look into those and figure it out.
Okay, moving on to the next thing here, street signs.
As soon as we get them in, we'll be putting them up.
Okay,
Haven't heard any more, so I guess we're still on track for it.
okay. Moving on to the next thing, Witt Center repairs.
I had 3 contractors look and I have not received any information, so I'll give information to you as soon as I get it.
Okay. All right, next thing, WSU strategic plan.
I've been in contact with Paula that came and did our training before, and she put me in contact with another gal that works primarily on the strategic plans, and we've had a few conversations, just kind of what we're wanting, and she's gonna put together a proposal and have it to us by the 11th. So you'll have everything at the next meeting, and we can, she's gonna piece it together where we can pick. Yeah, because there's obviously a lot of options. It can just be council making a plan, employees, citywide, there's definite, just how in-depth everyone wants to go. But, that's gonna have to be, I could have told her, but I told her that I felt like it would be better if you guys decided that, because essentially it's your guys' plan. We need buy-in from everyone, so it's gonna work and stay. I don't wanna just spend all this time and money on a plan and it.
Was the 11th of this month? 10 days?
Yep, so next meeting, she'll have all of that.
Okay, moving on to the next item, engine for power plant.
Jeff provided more information on the numbers that was in your packet, and I sent all of that to our financial company that our city code that we do our code with. They do bonds and stuff, and they have all of the information, but I have not received anything back, so.
The total for everything is what's on that one sheet.
Yes, and all those you have were the emails, the correspondence I've had with everybody. Comes out to $470 something a kilowatt. When we put that OP in 1981, it was used. We paid $750 for it then. The same engine now is about $1,300 for a used one set in. Skid mounts are by far cheaper. what concrete-based engines are, but the cost for a new one right now is at about $1,700 a KW. So for a standalone engine. Now Caterpillar's in the range of about 900 to 950, so it's a little less than half.
So this cost of 722,000 is the top end.
It should be the top end, yes. That's what it should be. Was it 722.5, something like that? I don't have the sheets, I
Because
brought
I
them
knew
in.
they'd said that in the one email it was 250,000, not to exceed 250,000.
There's only one, I think, I need to look at those just a minute. There's one place, and it had to do with some electric stuff. I'm sorry, Jim.
No problem.
I can't
I
remember.
thought that was on
There was a little bit of flexibility on something.
Yeah.
Now, on the muffler and the electronics and that stuff, yeah.
that
Was
I think
not
that's
to
what it-
exceed.
Not to exceed
Right.
250. And they thought
There
they
was
could be
one
in
deal
that.
on Mike's that had some room in it. The first one he said for all the power controls and that stuff at 175 would not exceed. But there was a spot. Oh, if we get some costs from Midwest Energy for that RTU metering, but I don't think they'll charge us anything for it. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think they've been in the notion of doing that because they meter it now at the substation. But, you know, usually everything that they've done for us the last 30 years, everything that they price, they're pretty close. I mean, they've done a lot of them and they're pretty close, they're pretty accurate, so.
One of them had about fewer hours than the other, right?
Probably, yeah, I'm sure,
Different hours.
yeah.
But there was only one skid unit you were particularly interested in.
That's the only thing that's available. And it just happens to be the identical same size as the one I got sitting on the floor, and it's a year older. So they're basically identical, is what they are. The only difference is this one starts on batteries, the one we have now starts on air. It has battery backup, but it starts on air, but that's the only difference, so.
This one's a battery start, you
It
said?
starts on 24 volts. Yep, it sure does. They do that so they can take them out anywhere and land them, you know, whatever, and have that, they
You
can
have
fire
one
them up.
with the nitrate pressure, how much was that? 1.5 originally? Jeff, what did we borrow on the nitrate plant when we done that long?
I wasn't here, but I think you're pretty close.
1.5?
Because I think that's right. That sounds pretty close.
Yeah.
And we had roughly what I know they put a bunch of money down
At
on
the
it.
beginning, it was
But
2.7.
2.7?
they put,
But they put like
They
1.2 million
They
down
put
on it.
823 down.
800. Yeah, they spent our cash reserve.
yeah, that was part of your
Yeah, we
cash.
did
So
that.
what were our payments, yearly payments on that 2.7? 90,000?
I thought it was around 87
Um,
or 80.
It goes, I mean, it
I mean,
goes,
what are you looking at? The amount of time it's gonna take to pay that?
Yeah, it goes down probably with every payment.
you want like the 7, you want me to go to the payment when it's like 788?
Sure.
About 36,000
A year,
twice a year.
twice a year, so $72,000 a year. How many years did they pay that off? They've done that.
33.
Well, you're-
2033 is when this one.
You're probably gonna have roughly 20,000 in interest plus amortization, just principal over 10, 720. So right at $100,000 a year over 10. You'll have declining interest rate.
How much did you say for interest? How much did you say?
I just said it at 4%, be 28. And that's, you know, your long-term money is gonna be somewhere between 3 and 5. Flood the bond might be a little bit better, John. What do we have to do to flood bond?
Well, it just depends on, I mean, I was not instructed to look at it.
But that's what,
You may
I mean, that's
require.
what you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
As a
So,
bond.
but your principals, your payment's
said
gonna
we
be
don't have to
between
do an
85 and
election.
90,000 a year amortization.
You don't have to do an election, that's.
But that's the
If you
thing,
do it
we
on
need
10-year,
As
flow
long as we
longer.
keep that payment every year less than $100,000.
I missed out on the Midwest Energy.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, I missed out on that altogether, but when is that for sure? Like, when do we physically see that savings the first time?
You've already seen it.
Already.
The first of May.
The first of May.
Yes. Yeah, the contract
And that-
started in April, and we saw the first one in May. We went
Hello.
from 97,
Hi, sis, how you doing?
97.50 down to 37.50 without the savings of the cost of the 27% that we're saving on the megawatts, from $32 to $24.
How much is that a month?
Oh,
It roughly varied. but
anywhere
more
between-
close to-
10 and 14,000, plus the other 7. So about anywhere from 18 to 21, 22, depending on the month,
Just don't compare this month.
except this month, yeah, which went clear to till. We're still arguing about that.
Have you found anything out about that?
Have not heard back from Aaron yet. We should have meetings here pretty
Our-
quick, but haven't
Our
heard.
bill from
Midwest
Midwest
Energy.
Energy was $80,000, and when Greg brought the contract, he has been watching it, and he's been in contact with them, trying to figure out what's going on, because he didn't feel, wasn't it that they were buying,
Well, we got a 3 o'clock scare one day that it was $1,200 a megawatt.
right? That they're buying it and selling it at different rates, and he wants to make sure that everything is
Yeah.
correct.
Some of these
But
guys
he
have
hasn't
different
been able to-
contracts than we do.
But he hasn't been able to set up, he was supposed to set up a meeting, and we were supposed to meet last week, but
Yeah, we haven't done it
we
yet.
haven't heard from him, so hopefully soon we'll get that meeting with Midwest Energy and,
Somewhere that $24 megawatt disappeared someplace, I'm sure. That's the whole reason we pay him, is to watch that, so that kind of stuff don't happen. So it's not like he's not on top of it, so we just pay the bill. We'll get it back, you know, if it comes back, we'll get it back, so.
Is it possible they can look at the current bond and see whether it can be refinanced?
I would just add to this, I can reach out
It
and
saves
ask.
us any money.
Okay,
I'm kind of like Ross, need to dive into something if we're not for sure that we're gonna
I
save
just,
this.
I mean, if it'll cash flow, I'm not against it. I don't understand. I wanna make sure I understand where we're at.
Yeah.
I mean, where's that, like the 18 to 22, are we physically saving that, and that's in an account somewhere, or we're just saving it in the?
It's just by the drop in the bill, yeah. I mean, we budget so much every year to pay that bill monthly, and then however we end out the end of the year. Right now,
I mean, we should be significantly ahead, obviously.
well, let's see, I can tell you. Up to the
Having
first of the
physical
month,
cash is what I'm going after, I guess.
before this was paid,
Cash is gone.
for the year, we'd only paid out 266,000.
Compared to like last year.
Compared to last year, I mean, we usually get pretty close, we still got $430,000 left, and this is August, and the hot part of the year
We're
is
through our
over.
peak time.
So, yeah, I mean, we've done really well on the difference, but I'm like Jamie, I would like to have seen what happened on that, because there's no way that we should have paid that, it shouldn't have been near that high. So,
Yeah, obviously, that's unbelievable for the.
yeah, it's 30,000 higher than what it normally is,
Sounds good.
so.
Sounds like a lot.
I think somebody got their calculator twisted or something, that's what I think.
okay, if there's no more discussion, moving on to new business. Groundwater Management District number 5.
The Secretary of Ag, he made a ruling. He did not stay Barfield's order, but is going for an administrative hearing for, I think it's the 16th of October. So Barfield's order is at least going to be reviewed. I've talked to people from GMD5, one of the people on the board told me that their attorney was happy. And I don't know if that means he's happy because it's the Attorney's Guaranteed Employment Act forever, or that he's happy that we might get a big, good ruling in the long run. And maybe Barfield's order may not be totally implemented, but that's where it's status right now. So I don't know that we need to do anything unless we wish to join other people and write a letter to the Secretary of Ag at the City Council, like we did before, explaining that we've got people that are employed and this Barfield's order, if it as stands, will drastically impact the city and school district and everyone else. That's up to the council what they want to do there. But there's no, I talked to a couple of people on the board, and if this thing does, if they do end up filing as suit at some time, they would certainly appreciate an amicus. We could join this for the court or whatever, that's up to John.
And I didn't read this as positive as you portrayed it.
Oh, well.
I think what he's saying is that at any point, since we're after the 1st of September, that Barfield could order implementation of something, but that at the time that the Secretary issued his order, Barfield had not, so there was nothing to stay. You're talking about the September 16th.
I think it's,
They're having a pre-hearing conference.
I read this on my phone.
I guess the thing that concerns me is that it says the review by the Secretary shall not include a determination whether GMD 5's NEMA should have been required to contain the components set out in Chief Engineer's letter in order for proceedings under 82A 1041. I think what he's going to say is whether the Chief Engineer was correct to not review the NEMA, whether the Chief Engineer should have reviewed the NEMA. But that's kind of, at that point, that's beyond my pay grade. I don't know what I guess the Chief Engineer would look at as far as whether in his review process, whether he should have approved it. But he didn't even get that far.
No, he did, he just said no.
Yeah, I mean, he just said, I'm not even gonna start to look at this. And these are the reasons why. And I don't know how long it takes to implement the augmentation plan. Because they're obviously under the impression that regardless of what happens, that the augmentation plan should commence immediately.
The pre-hearing's on 16th September.
Yeah, 16th September. Okay.
Any more discussion?
Pre-conference, pre-hearing conferences.
You get involved with
Anything else, Jim?
No.
Okay, all right. Moving on to next ordinance number 1065-19 and 1066-19.
This is just the Uniform Public Offense Code and the Standard Traffic Ordinance book, the police, yes.
just update it to correlate with the legislators' changes.
Do we need to do them separately or can we do them as one?
Yeah, separately.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1065-19.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1066-19.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries.
I forgot something. We need to discuss it more.
Have the executive session.
It's open session.
You want it under new business?
Sure.
I make a motion to amend the agenda to add
Water meter discussion.
water meter discussion under new business.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, what do you got there?
Gerald Long came in and he had a water leak at his house. He had a water leak on his side of the meter and on our side of the meter. And I was kind of expecting him just because I know people don't understand. And I know that Jason has explained it, I think Jeff has explained it, and I explained it today. But I told him I would bring it to you guys. He doesn't think that I think he said it was 2,000 gallons a day.
I think he feels that the leak on our side has caused him to use more water on his side.
Right.
Which it doesn't have anything
And he
to
doesn't
do
think
with.
that 2,000 gallons a day is possible without it seeping into his crawl space. And I tried to show him on the map, and I also indicated, like, this month we've had quite a few leaks, and there's another house that had several thousand more than he did by their house, and they didn't know, like, there wasn't water, I don't believe, in their house. So I just informed him that, you know, if the meter reads it, it's going through, but
I was gonna say, a leak on our side isn't gonna cause him to use more water.
correct.
Doesn't have any effect.
I mean, that meter's only gonna turn if the water goes through it.
And we've had a couple of them that have run over 100,000 and never came to the top of the ground. I mean, his ground was just so dry, and Ryan can attest to it too. I mean, we were all in on the same job, and the poor guy, you know, it just didn't come up, but,
And that's what I was.
and if we hadn't have caught it reading it, we wouldn't have got it.
I run 20,000 underneath my house and never knew it until we found out
Oh,
when they
yeah.
called me.
Yeah, sure.
So I told him I would bring it to you guys. I tried to explain it. I know the guys have tried to
It's on the list to
explain
repair,
it
and as soon as we get to it this week, we're gonna get it fixed
On our side.
on our side.
Yeah. And
He
I
got
think
his repair fixed on his side?
I
I can't say that, I don't know.
So what-
I've been gone until today, so I don't know.
don't know if
So what's he want? He wants to build,
I think he
Yeah.
wants his water forgiven, his
We've
usage,
discussed that before.
right?
This has been
But-
discussed multiple times. so-
We gotta deal with
I
all the
advised
same-
him of that, and I said I would take it to you guys. You know, the most they could tell you is no. So
I think the most we've ever done was give them time to pay it instead of the outside of wiping the bill clean.
Yeah.
Was there any water leak showing up, Jeff? I mean, it wasn't like it was the city's water leak, it was kind of coming out of the ground, and he said.
We
"We'll be
knew
there to
earlier in
fix
the
it."
year, and then we didn't get it wrote on the board, and we just flat forgot it, that it was leaking on our side, because we'd seen it in the street, and I kind of believe Kevin was up there the day that we found it. But then, we usually write them on the board in the break room, and for some reason it didn't get wrote down, we forgot all about it. Well, then a while back, Raymond called in, and he said, Dad's got a leak on his side, said, you got a leak in the street, and I said, yes, we do, and we forgot all about it. So it's back on the board, the locate's called in, we get this asphalt picked up tomorrow, and we'll get up there and get it fixed.
I was just wondering if it was coming out of the ground, you know, and he thought, well. it
At
must be
different
up the
times,
city,
it would
but
seep on us, you know, but it wasn't ever very much.
This is the first I've ever heard about it. So-
But I didn't realize that he had a leak, no, I did not,
Well, if it goes through the meter,
so.
obviously.
How high, how many gallons? Higher than last month?
uh-huh.
Not this time. See, it did right up in between the curbing and the asphalt before.
Yeah, I mean.
It seeped up in between, there was just a little
No,
bit running down the curb line, but it hasn't done it for me. It's been so dry that we haven't seen it forever.
It's just the biggest thing is we have people, like, especially in the winter when their line breaks and it costs a ton of money. And we ended up forgiving some, not forgiving others, and it becomes a big issue and we've kind of just settled on, we'll work with you on paying for it, but we can't just pick and choose who we forgive and who we can't.
I'm just curious, I mean, why he thought, you know, the city should forgive. I mean, usually people have reason, I mean, do it a little bit.
Last month it was 7, and this month is, so 7,000, and this month was 67,000.
Yeah. It's $500.
And I think that the one that I tried to explain him think that was over 100,000 gallons that we were doing with, so.
That one 2 years ago, it was 380.
So I told him I would bring it to you guys. It's,
Sitting there for that water that went through the meter. We treated it down the water plant, you know, we got nothing to do it.
It was good water. We treated it all.
Came out of the ground free.
I don't think that's gonna make him feel better.
I say if he wants to make payments on it, I'm fine with that, but other than that, I mean, it's still due.
okay, I'll let him know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Unless there's any more business, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and a second on the table. All those in favor? Motion carries.
56 minutes, guys.